Hello, my name is Edwin Hubble, and today I'm going to answer 8 interview questions on my life, my work, and the different discoveries I had. So the first question is, what project did I work on? Well, I was one of the first scientists to really calculate how quickly galaxies were expanding, and at the time it was thought that there was not a lot of knowledge outside of our own universe. So what I did was I used a telescope to calculate, using a specific kind of star and redshift, on how far this object was, and when those calculations came back, that object was far beyond what was thought to be the known Milky Way galaxy. So through a lifetime of research, it was formulated into a constant of how far or how fast the universe was expanding. But again, that was using both a method of a pulsating star and a redshift, which were two new techniques at the time. We were trying to find, at the beginning, it was just preliminary research, observing the universe. But then again, through careful observation and meticulous calculation, it was found that there was a constant rate of expansion or of speed of these galaxies that depended on their distance and their size, which was then deduced down into a constant. This occurred in Mount Wilson Observatory in Pasadena, California. The significant events that were happening in the world around the time were that I originally served in World War I. I finished my PhD just before enlisting in an infantry division. Never saw combat, but made it through the entire war, came back, went back to Pasadena, California for a career of observation, and served in World War II again as a ballistics officer. So some pretty major world events were happening around that time. Definitely a lot of advancements in the field of science, but also, given the world wars at the time, definitely a lot of activity. I had one assistant, Milton H. Humison, assistant for the duration of the period, help with calculations. My role was the primary researcher for figuring out the constant that these these different galaxies were expanding, and among other different discoveries, that is the main one that took a lifetime to kind of calculate and formulate the idea or the hypothesis of an expanding universe, which this had a large impact on the scientific community at the time, because other scientists such as Albert Einstein used this to reintroduce the expanding universe into his general relativity equation. And this also backed up what was already assumed or already kind of been working on by Mr. Freeman, who also thought that there was an expanding universe. So definitely the ideas that I had at the time and observations that supported this were accepted by the scientific community, which brings me to my last question here, is what was your idea, or was my idea accepted at the time? And the answer is yes, because some leading scientists have already assumed this, already kind of had an idea that the universe was expanding, that was bigger than just what we could see locally here in our own galaxy. And it was accepted and then started to be used in other equations that were originally taken out, again, such as Albert Einstein. So that concludes the interview with myself, Edwin Hubble, and hopefully it answers all your questions.